Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat podcast. My name is Amir. If you're listening to the podcast on Apple and Spotify, thank you so much. And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm on my path to 2,000 subscribers. So if you do subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. So for today's episode, I want to talk about the Miami Heat's plan B if they miss out on the Donovan Mitchell sweepstakes. So Donovan Mitchell potentially can ask for a trade this offseason, or the Cleveland Cavaliers can simply trade him, assuming that he's not going to assign a contract extension with the Cavaliers. And they know Donovan Mitchell is going to be a unrestricted free agent in 2025 after next season. So um, if he's not going to sign the extension, it might make sense for the Cavs to trade him and recoup some assets that they gave away essentially to acquire him 2 seasons ago. And there is a possibility that one, he does sign his extension and stays with the Cavs. And there's another possibility that the Miami Heat gets outbid by the Los Angeles Lakers, the Nets, or another team. And I still think Miami has the best blended package of picks, young players, and star role players that they can offer compared to a Lakers or a Brooklyn Nets. But they might, the Cavs, that is, they may covet first round picks more so than players. And the Nets have 6 first round picks they can give up in this trade, which would be insane. And then the Lakers have 3. I think the Heat only have 2. But either way, if the Miami Heat don't get Donovan Mitchell, as I mentioned in a other video, that the Miami Heat can't just put all their eggs in this basket just like they did last season with Damian Lillard. They need a plan B, C, D, E, and F, and G. So for this video, I want to talk about the Miami Heat's plan B. Who should they go after if they are unable to acquire Donovan Mitchell? So we know the Miami Heat are going to make roster changes this offseason. That was confirmed by Pat Riley in his press conference 2 weeks ago. And we don't know how drastic those changes are going to be. He mentioned he doesn't want to rip apart this team. He did mention that there's like a few whales out there that they would go for if available, but he said changes are inevitable. So we already know we're going to possibly lose Caleb Martin or Haywood Highsmith to free agency, as we're not going to be able to afford them. We're already a first apron luxury tax team. We don't want to get into the second apron right now. And it's going to be tough. We're not going to really have any salary cap for any meaningful free agents. We're going to have to pretty much sign guys and replace Caleb Martin if he walks with folks who are on the veterans minimum contract, which is like around $2 million or so, or whatever that number may be. But there is one direction that I wanted to focus on for this episode for that plan B. And some people might think I'm going to say a certain player, but I think I'm going to go in a different direction. And this is just subjective in my choice and who I think is a better fit for this Miami Heat team and who I would rather have on this team. And so instead of saying Trae Young, the player that I would think the Miami Heat should go after as their second option is the Pelicans' Brandon Ingram. So Brandon Ingram is an underrated scorer. He is coming off a season average of 20.8 points per game, 5.7 assists, 5.1 rebounds on 49% shooting from the field, and 35.5% from deep. So he did have a down year in comparison to the year before. And we know that Ingram is a player with star ability. He's a one-time All-Star. He was an All-Star back in 2019 after he was traded from the Lakers to the Pelicans in that first season. And he played really well. I mean, he averaged a career high 24.7 points per game that year. And in the last 4 seasons, he's averaging 23.8 points. So we know he is capable of scoring. He was considered like a Kevin Durant light, even though he's not as tall as him, but he has a similar build. 6'8". He has a 7'3" wingspan. So he is definitely someone that should be on the Miami Heat's radar. The Miami Heat have enough assets to get a Ingram type of tiered player. He's not a top superstar. He's not like the Donovan Mitchell, the especially when it comes to salary wise. Mitchell, Young, KD, all these guys are going to be making 45 to 50 million or above. And Brandon Ingram signed an extension with the Pelicans, and it was a 5-year deal for like 155 million. He's in his final year of that contract next season for 36 million dollars. So pretty affordable contract. And we wouldn't have to give up the farm like we would have for Donovan Mitchell. So Ingram is still super young. I think he's also the same age as Bam and Donovan Mitchell. They're all 26 years old. So young star. He's going to be a free agent after next season. So even if the Miami Heat do miss out on him, they could potentially try to get him in a sign and trade the following year. But right now, I think it's the best opportunity because there's rumors that he's going to be on the trade block. Pelicans probably think he's not going to resign, so they might as well recoup some assets as well and make some moves and get some players into the system for Brandon Ingram before he walks away as an unrestricted free agent. And so I don't think we have to give up a ton. I mean, with Donovan Mitchell, you're probably gonna have to give up everything. You're gonna have to give up 2 first-round picks. You're gonna have to give up Tyler. You're gonna have to give up Jaime and Jovic. And who knows if that's again gonna get it done or be a better package than what the Nets can potentially offer or Lakers. But for Ingram, you don't have to offer as much. You can center the package around Tyler Hero, of course. He's going to be making 29 million. And then you could offer one of the two, so young players, so Jovic or a Jaime Jaquez. And as a sweetener, I mean, I think you have to probably throw in a first round pick, um, which is not like a horrendous package. I mean, Tyler, let's say Jaime and a first round, in theory, should get it done. The only issue with this trade, though, is Ingram's injury history. He is young, but last season he only played 60, or this season he only played 64 games, 45 the year before, 55, 61, 62, 52, 59. And in his rookie year, he played 79 games. So every year besides his rookie year, he has missed, looks like, almost 20 plus games, um, 18 this season. But yeah, that's kind of alarming right there. And I think that is a potential issue. But again, Brandon Ingram is going to be one of the more affordable stars because he's going to be making 36 million and not like 50 something like a Kevin Durant or a Donovan Mitchell would be making with his extension. So we all know the Miami Heat are terrible at offense. They were bottom 3 in scoring, and they've been bottom 4 or 5 in scoring in the past 5 seasons. And we know their bread and butter and their identity is defense. They're top 5 defensive rated team last season or this season, and they were 21st in offensive rating. And so it seemed like the Miami Heat couldn't buy a bucket in a ton of stretches during a lot of games and lost a handful of games that they should have won or could have won, which would have helped them avoid the play in, and maybe they'd still be in the playoffs right now. But having someone like Brandon Ingram with his scoring potential and size could provide a much needed boost for this Miami Heat's offense, especially if we can keep Terry Rozier, Jimmy Butler, Brandon Ingram, and Bam Adebayo, and probably bring in Duncan Robinson off the bench as a starter, or maybe even Jovic would be in that mix. Then we're talking about a lineup that has a ton of size, something the Miami Heat need as well. So Brandon Ingram is also a good playmaker as well. That's another offensive strength of his that he's developed. He's averaged over 5.5 assists per game in the past 3 seasons, which is pretty damn good for a small forward, power forward type player. So again, I mentioned earlier he's 6'8", has a 7'3" wingspan. He provides size and length on the perimeter for the Miami Heat, and we know they lack size, like I've mentioned again. The Heat are going to have to, like I mentioned earlier, replace most likely Caleb Martin and Haywood Highsmith, and they can't do that through free agency. So trading for him would add a versatile forward to replace those guys. Eric Spoelstra would have the luxury of putting Ingram in as a small ball 4, perhaps, if they traded Jovic versus Jaime Jaquez. And knowing Spoelstra, he would experiment with both scenarios as starting him as the small forward or the starting power forward. So it would give Spoelstra a dynamic player that he can add to his arsenal, which is good. Um, the biggest cons, again, I mentioned, are his injuries, um, and his contract. He's going to probably look for some sort of extension. So if we do sign him, we don't want it to be a 1 year rental to give up a first round pick, Tyler, and one of our kids, aka Jovic or Jaime. So the Miami Heat then are going to have to extend him, and he's going to be looking for 180 million or so. I don't know what he would get in the market, but I'm sure his last year he's going to be making 36. I'm sure he's going to want that average to go up to like 40 million per year. So we'll see what the Miami Heat would do in this case. So I think it could be a good fit. I think it's intriguing. He's a really good scorer. He's a young player. He's athletic. He's long. He's lean. He could spread the floor. Um, he could hit that mid-range shot. He could finish at the rim. He's a good free throw shooter. I think Brandon Ingram could be a really good fit and a really good regular season player for the Miami Heat to help carry the team with Bam Adebayo in the regular season, with Terry Rozier, with Duncan Robinson, with a Jaime Hawkins if we don't trade him, and get the Miami Heat back into the playoff race, getting them out of the play-in game and letting Jimmy Butler, rest and do his bullshit that he typically does during the regular season, and let him stay fresh so that we can make another playoff run. Because Jimmy Butler is going to be 35 starting next season, and he probably has 1 to 2 more seasons, honestly, left to compete at a high level. So we shall see what the Miami Heat can do to help prolong this Jimmy Butler build. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you think this is a good plan B for the Miami Heat? Do you think signing or trading for Brandon Ingram would help this Miami Heat contend for a championship next season? Or do you think it's better to go after like a Trey Young, who's a better offensive player, perhaps better, I mean, definitely better playmaker, distributor than Brandon Ingram, someone that could help unlock Bam Adebayo? What route do you think makes the most sense? Let me know in the comments. Hope you guys have a good one. Thanks for watching.